We distrust government and believe the game is rigged. Confidence in government is at an all-time low, and the middle class is smaller than ever before. In this episode, we'll look at monopolies, another advantage big business has over the middle class. Welcome to PA Voter Information Network. This is Larry DeMarco, your host. Do you watch my YouTube channel but haven't subscribed yet? Why not now? It's easy and free. Just click the red button and the bell right beside it, and you will be notified of all new content. This is part 3 of a 5-part series. In part 1, we discussed the Powell Manifesto and how it caused billionaire corporations to seize political power and the media to protect the free enterprise system. In part 2, we discussed examples of billionaire corporations benefiting from corporate welfare to shift the economic power from the middle class to the billionaire class. In this episode, we will discuss how the use of monopolies hurts the middle class by increasing the cost of goods and decreasing employee wages. Robert Reich discusses monopolies and the consequences on the consumer, particularly when antitrust laws are not enforced.
Monsanto alone owns the key genetic traits to more than 90% of the soybeans planted by farmers in the United States and 80% of the corn, which means Monsanto can charge farmers much higher prices. And farmers are getting squeezed from the other side, too, because the food processors they sell their products to are also consolidating into mega companies that have so much market power they can cut the prices they pay to farmers. This doesn't mean lower food prices to you. It means more profits to the monopolists. America used to have antitrust laws that stopped corporations from monopolizing markets and often broke up the biggest culprits. No longer. It's a hidden upward redistribution of money and power from the majority of Americans to corporate executives and wealthy shareholders. The 4 largest food companies control 82% of beef packing, 85% of soybean processing, 63% of pork packing, and 53% of chicken processing. All these products and brands from just 10 huge corporations. 70% of toothpaste sales go to just 2 companies. Luxottica. They also own nearly all the eyeglass retail outlets. Practically every plastic hanger in America is now made by one company, Minetti. What brand of cat food shall I buy? There are basically just 2 companies. The problem with all this consolidation into a handful of giant firms is they don't have to compete, which means they can jack up your prices. Drug companies, in effect, pay the makers of generic drugs to delay cheaper versions. Such pay-for-delay agreements are illegal in other advanced economies, but antitrust enforcement hasn't laid a finger on them in America. They cost you and me an estimated $3.5 billion a year. Well, health insurers are consolidating too, which is one reason your health insurance premiums, co-payments, and deductibles are soaring. Massive consolidation into a handful of giant businesses is going on all over. You think you have lots of options for booking discount airline tickets and hotels online? Actually, you have only 2. Expedia merged with Orbitz, so that's one company. And then there's Priceline. How about your cable and internet service? Basically, 4 companies. This is unfortunate to say the least, and not just because industries and services with little competition charge you more. It's also troubling because such consolidation keeps down wages. Workers with less choice of who to work for have a harder time getting a raise. When local labor markets are dominated by one major big box retailer, or one grocery chain, for example, those firms essentially set wage rates for the area. These massive corporations also have a lot of political clout. That's one reason they're consolidating. Power. Antitrust laws were supposed to stop what's been going on, but today they're almost a dead letter. That hurts you.
Antitrust laws were used throughout the 20th century to good effect until shortly after the Powell Manifesto. Then in 1980, during the Reagan administration, there was a shift in the application of the antitrust laws and the attitude toward monopolies.
All this changed in the 1980s. After Robert Bork, who, incidentally, I studied antitrust law with at Yale Law School and then worked for when he became Solicitor General under President Ford, wrote an influential book called The Antitrust Paradox, which argued that the sole purpose of the Sherman Act is consumer welfare, which means that mergers and large size almost always create efficiencies that bring down prices and therefore should be legal. Bork's ideas were consistent with the conservative Chicago School of Economics and found a ready audience in the Reagan White House. Since then, even under Democratic administrations, antitrust has all but disappeared. We're seeing declining competition even in cutting-edge, high-tech industries. In the new economy, information and ideas are the most valuable forms of property. This is where the money is. We haven't seen concentration on this scale ever before. Google and Facebook are now the first stops for many Americans seeking news. Meanwhile, Amazon is now the first stop for more than half of American consumers seeking to buy anything. Talk about power. Contrary to the conventional view of an American economy bubbling with innovative small companies, the reality is quite different. The rate at which new businesses have formed in the United States has slowed markedly since the late 1970s. Big tech's sweeping patents, standard platforms, fleets of lawyers to litigate against potential rivals, and armies of lobbyists have created formidable barriers to new entrants. Google's search engine is so dominant, Google has become a verb.
Have you Googled her yet?
Willow, she's 17.
It's a search engine.
The European Union filed formal antitrust charges against Google, accusing it of forcing search engine users into its own shopping platforms. It fined Google a record $2.7 billion. But not in America. Remember, economic and political power cannot be separated because dominant corporations gain political influence over how markets are organized, maintained, and enforced, which enlarges their economic power further. One of the original goals of the antitrust laws was to prevent this. Big tech, along with the drug, insurance, agriculture, and financial giants, dominates both our economy and our politics. It is time to revive antitrust. Yes, it is time to revive antitrust. If Europe can protect its small businesses and middle class against mega corporations, then so can we. This has been part 3 of a 5-part series. In the next episode, we will further explore how powerful billionaire mega corporations are able to write laws and seize power through the influence of lobbyists. And in the last episode, we'll discuss what we can do to stop it. If you like this episode, please click the like button underneath the video and share it with the people on your contact list and social media friends. Please comment in the space below. I would really like to hear what you're thinking. Thanks for watching this episode. I'm signing off. Tune in next time. Bye for now.